Hello there. Today, since you people won't send me wrestling questions for some reason, and there are no comments except for good job, I have to think of things to think of on wrestling topics every week. So I guess I'm going to talk about who I think the best wrestler in history is. I've talked about this, I think, before, but let's talk about it again. Because I honestly can't think of anything to talk about. So I'll just talk about my favorite wrestlers instead. Since I know I've talked about who I think the best is, I'll talk about my favorites. Now, growing up I was a little kid, like a little munchkin person, who ate candy and ran around the house like an idiot in the 80s. So, of course, I admired Hulk Hogan, because he told us to eat our vitamins, say our prayers, and, as we later learned from him, take steroids. And I thought Hulk Hogan was great. I also thought the Macho Man was great, though he was a bad guy, because he beat up Hulk Hogan. And remember, I was a little kid, so I didn't realize it was all fake yet. And people would tell me, oh, wrestling's fake. And I'd be like, I'm a little kid, I don't believe you. And then the Attitude Era came along and people are shooting fire and lightning, and it's like, okay, wrestling might be fake. So yeah, it was Hulk Hogan originally. And then I stopped watching wrestling because I stopped watching wrestling. People in my family stopped watching wrestling, so I stopped watching wrestling. And so then I tuned back in around the time of the NWO and WCW. And that's what I was watching. And it was still Hulk Hogan was still big star. But I learned about Nash, and I learned about Hall, and Macho Man I was rooting for. And of course Sting. We all loved the Stinger. But a big thing in WCW that me and my friends rooted for was Raven. Raven. We all loved Raven. And his flock. His flock. Yes, Raven and his flock. Because he was the anti-hero. And I didn't know him from ECW because I hadn't started watching ECW yet. But we'll get to ECW here in a minute. So that was Raven and his flock. So then my sister decided we need to watch WWF, so we had a fight in our house every week. Which came down to fisticuffs, and several times knives were involved, and that's how I lost my one kidney. So we started watching WWF a little bit and flipping. Because at the time, WCW started at 8. WCW ran from 8 till 11. It was 3 hours. WWF ran from 9 till 11. So you'd watch the first hour of WCW, and then you tune in WWF, and you flip back and forth. And so that's when that's when I was introduced to Stone Cold, who was okay. I still like WCW more. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. And then it started heating up, and I started watching that more, and I started watching WCW less. Then my uncle introduced me to ECW. Now, I was about 13 or 14 at the time, and it was on at 2 in the morning. So I would stay up till 2 in the morning to watch ECW. And it was on like a Friday or Saturday night. And ECW was great. I think the first match I ever watched was Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn. And that was a phenomenal match, and that hooked me on ECW. And then I found out there was another wrestling program on another weekend. I think ECW was Friday nights. And I think this was Saturday nights, was Memphis Championship Wrestling, which I'd watch. So I'd watch, WCW Monday. Sunday was WWF. Monday, WCW/WWF. Tuesday was nothing. Wednesday was nothing. Thursday was WWF/WCW, because we'd flip again. Friday was ECW. Saturday was Memphis Championship. So, in each of these I had favorites. In WCW we liked Raven, and then Raven left. So then we went to, Sting and Macho. Macho Man was always awesome. And in WWF it was, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin, but then it was Mick Foley, because I could relate to Mick Foley, because I'm a fat man, and so I can then relate to all fat men. And then all fat men, we automatically relate to Jabba the Hutt, because he's just like us, only he has a half-naked princess, and we don't, and we want one. So all fat men relate to Hutts. And then in ECW, it was Taz and Rob Van Dam. Everyone loved Rob Van Dam. I now think Rob Van Dam's a loser, but back then he was good. So yeah, it slowly changed over the years, and I'd watch less or I'd watch more. But my favorites throughout the years would have been Hogan, Macho Man, Austin, and Van Dam from the late 90s. Later, I was introduced to Terry Funk, who's a crazy old bastard. And I hope when I'm 150 that I'm doing barbed wire matches with Sabu, though he'd be like 190, but I'm sure he'd still do it. So, yeah, and Sandman, who was just a crazy drunken redneck. So, yeah, those are my favorites from the years. Nowadays, I like Daniel Bryan, but I don't watch WWF that much because it's garbage. And in TNA, I like Bobby Roode, and I like Angle, and I haven't really been watching lately, so Bully Ray's always good, Mr. Anderson's always good. They got better talent over there. So yeah, but send me your questions, and I will answer your questions, and give you my opinion on whatever your question is. And if it's stupid, I will tell you it's stupid.